Yeah, man, I love that intro. If you're an addict in recovery, you get knocked down, you get back up again. Welcome to Talking Trash. This is episode number 55. My name's Tim, and I'm an addict. Hi, Tim. Hi, everybody. So, we are an addiction recovery and mental health podcast. We're an outreach. Like the show starts when it stops. Like we don't stop. We take care of our people. We are invested in their recovery, and we're honored to have that opportunity to help people who are struggling as I did, as we did. I've been through it. If you watch the other episodes, you know my story. I was a heroin addict, IV user, a total mess on the streets of Kensington and Philadelphia. And in the past year and a half, I've seen my life change for the better by addressing mental health. I have a regimented schedule and medications. I'm a proponent of medication assisted treatment. I think that's huge. People are dying left and right from fentanyl. We have a responsibility now to our community, to the recovery community, to be there 24/7, and we are. I've said it before. I had a call a couple months ago, 3 a.m. Guy was suicidal, and by 10 a.m. we was in detox, and that's what it's about. I mean, I prefer you not to call me at 3 a.m., but I'm there if you need me, and there's no judgment. We all share the same affliction. It's a level playing field. If you're 60, if you're 20, if you're whatever, I share what you have, and you have a problem as I do. So I have to acknowledge where I came from, but I don't have to live in it. I don't have to anymore. For so long, I lived in the past, and it was self-loathing, and it was just me beating myself up for things that I did and I was guilty for. That kept me from going forward. Honestly, that was the problem with me. I was living in the past, I was missing the present, and I was projecting on the future. And that's an addict's life right there. So if you don't grasp that and know that you have to fix it, it's going to take you out. You're not. I listen. If I lived in the past, I don't anymore. I'm not perfect. I catch myself. Nobody's perfect. But if you're living in the past, you're missing the present. And if you're missing the present, that's where everything's happening. You know what I mean? So you're missing everything. And it'll come at you when you're unprepared. It'll catch your attention, and now you're not ready to deal with that situation because you're not present. So I'm definitely not preaching. I'm telling you my personal story, and that's a big part of it. And I struggle to this day. I'm not, but me talking about it and me catching myself and doing tangible things to fix it, to address it, is the best I can do. And it's way better than living in the time where I flipped a pickup truck and broke my neck, or overdosed on the streets of Kensington, or whatever it was. I don't have to live that every day. I put it away. I don't close the door completely. I keep it open a crack, just to see where I came from. I don't want to ignore that I'm an addict and I did terrible shit, but at the same time, I don't want to forget it. I don't want to forget what I did wrong, because I'm bound to repeat it if I do. So yeah, that's me. We're privileged to have this platform. We really are, and we've. We know a lot of people watch. If you're listening to this, I encourage you to go home and watch, because it's entertaining. We got a lot of things going on, good production value, and we got a lot of friends that we just have through addiction and recovery. So we're really blessed, and we're thankful for all our supporters. So we do a little preamble here before we get going. So I'm gonna pull that up real quick here. This is our humble broadcast, where ethics and personal anonymity are of the utmost importance. We run this podcast as an act of service to those whose lives have been affected by addiction. We don't do it for profit or notoriety. We place principles before personalities. We benefit from this podcast just as much as anyone else. We all work programs and choose to sacrifice our own anonymity to spread the message that recovery is possible. We do this thing in an attempt to show as living examples that no matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. Not only is that the 9-step promise, it's our creed we abide by here on Talkin Trash. We feel called to uphold AA and NA principles. We firmly believe that you can only keep what you have by giving it away. Please join us for a moment of silence, followed by the Serenity Prayer. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Alrighty, let's go around and meet the team real quick before we get started. Let's do it. Hey, Mikey.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you? Didn't we just do this, 2 days ago?
Yeah, just did it.
Yeah.
But I didn't have the greenery.
No, it
I
looks
told you guys
phenomenal.
that all these trees would be coming inside. Don't get me started. But
I won't. It looks phenomenal.
oh, good.
You know,
As long as
it
it
really
looks
does.
phenomenal.
It looks great.
Hmm.
I'm. How are you feeling, Mr. Stroke Survivor?
I'm feeling good. I
Good.
It's been a little chilly at night, and here in beautiful New Jersey,
It's gotten cold here
and
too.
starting to go into the 30s at night. So it's time for the trees to come in, and they're everywhere.
Yeah, they are.
They're freaking everywhere.
This is an important
Don't get
episode
me
when
started. Don't
we're
get me
both
started.
wearing Talking Trash shirts.
Oh
You,
yeah, how about that?
it's a big one. Don't act like you're
Right?
surprised. We set it up before we came on, but I just blew up your spot. Look at this one. This one's destroyed.
That
Way to
looks like one
go.
of the original ones.
It is. Way to go, Custom Ink. This lasted 5 seconds. I gave all my good ones out because I'm benevolent. You know what I mean? So we are. We're just two guys doing our thing. Mike is a nurse navigator. He's been in the addiction field for a very long time. He knows what he's doing. He was my first nurse in rehab. My first time I went to rehab, and he made such a impact on me that here we are, 4 years later, and we're doing a podcast together. So we have a nice not fan base, listener base, supportive base, and we are who we are. We're colorful, but we love everybody. We take care of everybody, and Mike is very disarming. Where I can be a little aggressive, but I don't mean to be, and I'm a little eccentric. But Mike is very disarming, and we're pleased as punch to have him. What's going on with the baseball playoffs? Who's where?
It looks like it's going to be Yankees and Dodgers in the World Series.
Damn, I didn't expect that one.
Yeah, I mean it could be the Yankees and Mets. I mean that would be great in an all New York World Series, but
Oh my god, a Subway series, that would be fun.
a real Subway Series. So I would say after the weekend we should know for next week who is in the World Series.
Gotcha.
But I just been busy prepping for my birthday,
Oh my god, it's your
which is Sunday.
birthday. Oh boy, I can never find the DJ air horn effect.
Don't forget Mike at trash-podcast.com.
I'm so proud of you for learning that. I know it's hard. I get it. And you didn't have it right for 29 episodes, but here you are.
Right?
No, I gave you an email address. That's a hack, and now
Right.
you know.
You'll learn to regret that. But
There's your birthday horn. Yeah, I will learn to regret that.
mhm.
So yeah,
I'm excited for our guest tonight.
oh my
Uh,
gosh, we got a doozy on here, boys,
hmm
or
So
ladies and
I'm
gentlemen.
excited for that.
It's
And it's
Tyler
Thursday
Brandon.
night.
He's got two first names. I know that's confusing to some of you, but he's a good dude, and great hair, as you see it down the bottom, and he's ripped. He says he's carbo loading or whatever, putting on pounds, but yeah, good looking guy, great hair. He's a workout guy. That's how he overcame, well, partially how he overcame his substance use disorder.
Tim,
So what?
Tim, haven't you been carbo loading for like 3 years?
All right, shut up, Mike. So
That's why
I'm
he doesn't
on.
have any shirts. He doesn't fit him.
I
Oh,
know.
sorry. I thought I was on mute.
My my entire life I was skinny as shit. You know, I was messing around with drugs, but I was all of a sudden a year ago, 2 years ago. Also, I went from like 170 pounds, like on the regular, to 210 pounds. I'm not a tall guy. That's obese. You know what I mean? I do wear it well. I mean, I think I just think I'm bulky. That's all. But 200 pounds when you're 5'8", 5'7", not great. So it is what it is. It is. You
You're
know,
here.
I I looked at October awareness earlier. We're missing
Yes.
like 15 things. Like I don't know what
Oh, come
website I
on.
use. We're missing so much. Look at how many there is. I mean, there's already like a page full of
Oh, come on.
awarenesses, but we are
Well, some of
missing.
them were like double jeopardy there.
Well, yeah,
Like the sudden infant death, SIDS, shouldn't that be with
agreed.
pregnancy and infant loss, death
Here,
and loss awareness?
here
Shouldn't
it
they be
is.
together?
Kinda. Yeah, they should be. Eye injury prevention month. There we go. Menopause awareness month. I think that's on there. Breast care awareness month. Uh, Dipraxia awareness week. Not sure what that is. Back care awareness week, where it's going on now. National Braille week. So I listen. I love you if you can't see, but do we need a week to figure out what Braille is? Anyway, that's probably offending people. I'm sorry. It's United Kingdom Malnutrition Awareness Week. I think we have that. National Baking Week also going on now. Chocolate Week going on now. That's why I'm 210 pounds. Anti Slavery Day is tomorrow. Epilepsy Action Virtual Tea and Cake Break. That starts tomorrow and goes to the
Okay.
25th. It's tea and cake break for epilepsy. And World Values Day is tomorrow. So there's all the ones we missed. Is what it is. We're we don't have to do that. I came across this. I want to watch this real quick.
A friend of mine. And it's something like this about the puppy that lost his way. And the puppy that lost his way
Mm,
had a little boy who was sitting on the porch crying
oh.
for the puppy. Recovery
Aw.
is the puppy.
Wait, is the puppy named Recovery?
He's seen her crying after half an hour.
Did you just say Awa?
You don't give up after a half an hour. You
Mm.
get up off your ass and you find a fucking dog. Recovery.
Good
That's
point.
how you handle it. You don't give up after a half an hour.
Right.
You got a responsibility to your recovery, i.e., the puppy is your recovery.
We got it.
Because it's lost, you find it.
We got it. Yeah. Can you stop cursing, please?
That was just
I know it was emotional, it just came out of you, but
emotional to see this kid sitting there only after trying recovery for a little bit.
I get
Trying
it.
to find recovery for a little bit.
I gotcha.
And that's also a scene from one of my favorite movies, which is Billy Madison.
Yeah,
You might have heard of it.
I have heard of it. Let's see. We want to get Tyler on early so we can kind of just do the show with him and have a little fun with him because he's fun.
Sure. I approve of that.
Alrighty, very well. There's something I was. Somebody passed away. I guess I lost the. I'm a mess today with these slates. All right.
Oh, somebody from a band, One Direction.
One Direction. He suffered mental health and substance abuse issues, and he was having a tough time at his hotel. A lot going on. It is Liam Payne. Um, yeah, I mean, it's just he's a he's an artist, but like I said, the disease does not discriminate. So Liam Payne, we our heart goes out to the families of the survivors of him.
You know what I
And
find?
what do you find?
The famous people, like everybody. I don't know why Heath Ledger just popped in my head, but um, people are afraid to say anything to them. You know what I mean? Like everybody just kisses their ass, gives them
Yeah,
whatever they want. Nobody challenges them in their addiction at all.
no,
So poor Liam is in Argentina, and nobody wants to stand in his way of his addiction. Nobody. They probably went out and bought it. Same people that are crying today and are going to affect their income because they were his manager, blah blah blah,
So
whatever.
you didn't know his
Uh,
first name, but you knew he was in Argentina, Mike?
yeah, Liam
Yeah.
and Liam Payne is in Argentina. I let you struggle for a little bit,
Yeah. All right.
but
Oh yeah, you
if
did let me throw. I thought that's what you were doing, you shithead.
nobody stopped him on the way he was going.
Well, he jumped off a balcony. So
Well, what I'm trying to say is nobody stopped him. So they watched his psyche and his addiction take him in one direction.
don't Mike, that's
That's something to think about. I'm not trying to be funny.
way
Think
too
about that.
soon. Way too soon. But anyway, it's October, it's Halloween. I hate October because for some reason I get depressed and want to get high in October. So these days I'm aware of it, and I guess I have seasonal affective disorder. Mike, is that what it's called?
Yeah, seasonal affective. Sad. I'm
Yeah.
sad because I'm sad.
So like I'm pushing through it, but I just hate life in October. I don't know why. And then I hate it when it gets cold, and then I hate it when it gets warm. I'm so
I
picky.
mean, you're in Georgia. I mean, how cold does it get in Georgia? Come on,
It
dude.
gets pretty cold, Mike. Believe it or
Really?
not. Yeah. It was freezing last night, and I say freezing, it was probably 65. But
You got
it's
alligators there, right?
what?
Don't you have
Alligators.
alligators in Georgia?
I that's Florida, Mike. There's no swamplands in Georgia.
Yeah. What? Yeah, huh? Georgia swamps?
No, that's
I thought
ridiculous.
there's no alligators or crocodiles in Georgia.
I mean, do your homework, Mike. You're headed in one direction here.
Oh God.
Come on, you started it. Too much.
Oh,
Way too much.
too soon.
Yeah, I said that. I'm gonna tell you the temperature here. 51 degrees. It's gonna
Oh,
go
come
down.
on.
That's freezing cold for Georgie.
51.
So anyway,
Come on. That's a light jacket.
all right, real quick. I want to go into these Facebook scams because they are pissing me off. I'm involved with 1,000 Facebook groups, and people fall for it, and I see it from a mile away. For example,
Here we go.
Luna Noah, great name. She's 4 month. You can tell she doesn't she doesn't type it right. It says 4 and then month. There's no months. There's no space between 4 and month. She's 4 months sober and clean. Okay, so I guess I blocked it out a little bit, but she has gigantic tits, right? So that's a red flag right there. So I search her. I look at her profile like nobody. There's 1,000 people. Here's the problem. Look at all these congrats and way to go. Keep it up. There's 100 of them. That's me up top. Up top. I didn't realize I made it in there. What the hell is wrong with you people? She/he, whatever, because you fall for it. So anyway, back to Luna Noah. She anyway. There's 1,000 of these. They're all over the addiction Facebook groups. I mean, if you see, a big balcony, just take a second and just see what it's about. Don't just send her Cash App money or Apple gift cards. I searched her name. Oh, what a shocker! 3 different accounts come up with the same name and the same picture. So I know you're in recovery. You're early on. You're looking for something to spike that dopamine. And she says, "DM me," and then she's in France and she just needs a little money for her. I wrote a spiel actually. I forgot I wrote this. This pisses me off. They prey on people in early recovery. Easy target. Gives them props. Give them props though. It's brilliant. There's no more drug. Their emotions are all over the place. And what is this? A pretty big titty woman. I don't who's single and she's also 2 months sober. All she needs is for me to send her some Bitcoin for her dying father so she could buy him medicine. Then
Oh,
once her father's comfortable, she'll she'll meet you. She swears she will. You guys have so much in common. You both like French fries. You know what I mean? It's a match made in heaven. Maybe,
uh,
yeah, maybe I'll take up online gambling while I'm at it. You know what I mean? You
you
want
know,
to be,
just because you're new to recovery, doesn't mean you have to forego all common
yeah,
sense.
no shit, Mike. So like I
One of
see
the
it.
things that I used to tell my addicts was, when you're an addict, regardless of your personality, you pick up the ability to see through the bullshit.
Yeah,
You really do.
yeah,
As a as an addict, you can see through people's bullshit. You really do. And I hope you don't lose that once you become sober.
I know.
Always keep that ability to see through bullshit. So why is it just a girl with big boobs that needs money makes
There's
everybody not be able to see through that?
there's
Is
no
the
men on
obvious
there. There's no men
right?
packing heat. You know what I mean? It's just women. Like
Right.
we're stupid. Women are much smarter than us. So they know that. They know addiction. They know all about it. They have their racket down. It's fucking sickens. Oh, I cursed. Damn it. Anyway,
Common sense. I
I
mean,
want.
if you're thinking that's too good to be true, it's too good to be true.
Yeah. So I want to change the tempo of the room here. A clean timer of hours passed away. Levi W. He was on our clean time for a little bit. He um he overdosed on fentanyl. You know, it
I don't
sucks.
know how you feel about that. I feel like, you know, it's real. What we're doing is really real. Those people that have those days, it's a struggle every day. And I appreciate the ones that are fighting every day all the more.
Hmm.
Not because of Levi, just it brings it back that it's not a numbers game, shoots and ladders, It's this guy died, and from the same stuff we all were doing, you
Yep.
guys were all doing,
Hmm.
and it got him. It got him after 120 some days. So I hope he's at peace in his search, and I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm saying if if he was here watching us, he'd want everybody to keep going,
Well, here this
and
this goes two ways. One, people see this and they want to. It's a stark reminder of where they came from and what can happen. Two, unfortunately, some people are going to be like, "I wonder where he got his stuff. That must be good," and that's the
oh
addict.
yeah,
That's the
it's
addict's
one of the things I
mentality.
never got my head around. I never, as a nurse, or maybe it's just, and we've talked about that. It's just maybe because I'm not an addict, I'll never understand why why somebody would die of somebody's brand or stamp on a bag, and everybody would want that bag. Eh, It just boggles my mind. If that's what killed somebody,
Well,
you obviously wouldn't want it, right?
he couldn't tolerate it. And here's the thing: he was 122 days sober. If he picked up what he usually picked up, or maybe even
That's
half,
that's four and
it,
a half
it
months.
it's a death sentence. So the people that I don't know where he lives. I don't know much about him. But the people that do know him, and if he runs around the recovery community, the addiction community, some people are going to be like, where did he get that shit? Because that's what I want. Because he just couldn't handle it. I'm going to be fine.
Oh yeah.
So that's what it
Um,
is. I came up with this. When you hit your bottom is when you stop digging. I just came up with that by myself the other day. You believe that? When you
or
hit,
other people will start digging your grave.
you just blew my mind. Oh my God. Michael motorcycle. All right, we had a great guest we want to get into here.
Yes, good guy.
Did I cover everything? Yeah, just stay away from Luna. Um, she's gonna want you to cash app her like $500, and you're gonna be tempted. So just please don't be an idiot. Oh God. All right,
But she has such pretty eyes.
she's very pretty eyes.
Mhm.
Yeah, and she's 4 month sober. So give her some
Mhm.
sober spelled wrong. There's more emojis. Yeah, there's more emojis in that text than there is
Common
actual.
sense.
Yeah,
Don't be
common
taken
sense.
advantage of because it's new ground for you. Do your research. If it's too good to be true, some beautiful woman just for a few bucks wants your newly sober ass. It's not true.
All right. So, guess what? Tyler Brandon.
Look at this guy.
What a what an animal.
It's like Thursday night wrestling.
And then Tyler, life after addiction isn't just possible, it's the norm. Studies show that 3 out of 4 people who experience addiction eventually recovered. Recovery stories, source, faces, and voices of recovery. The company he's involved with, the nonprofit. Tyler found his journey to recovery through health and fitness back in 2014. He suffered an injury that led to a progression of his substance use disorder. A little loud here. After a few years of rehabilitation and a recovery-driven ideology, Tyler was able to heal. Through that injury, it led to a passion to learn the body in the healthiest ways possible. As an LGBTQ member himself, he began coaching clients from underserved communities to assist in their fitness and recovery goals. That's notable. Using
Big
fitness,
deal.
yeah, he uses fitness as a pathway to recovery. That means something. He's doing something with what God gave him, as their way, hopefully. He has been in recovery since 2020. He's got 4 years under his belt. He's a faithful man. He's building his faith. He's that's admirable. As am I. Physical health is important, and his connection to nature aids his recovery journey. He traveled to learn more in depth about other religions and cultures. He become enlightened with different recovery thought processes. Those journeys have been vastly assisted Tyler to vastly assisted Tyler to understand and connect with those feeling similar struggles, which provided a phenomenal foundation to be a training program assistant at Faces and Voices of Recovery. That Tyler believes you can always strive to be a better version of yourself, no matter what struggles you must overcome. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is Tyler. Hey, Tyler, how you
What's up,
doing?
Ty?
There he is. There he is.
How you
The
doing?
lead up. Good. How are you?
How was the green room back there?
I will say it's quite interesting
No mini
because you
box.
talk, but obviously you guys don't hear me. So I was like
Right.
talking to myself, and I'm
Mhm.
like,
That's nice.
I think Luna would be a great guest, and I think
Yeah,
that she should be asked for the next episode.
that pisses me off. It
She
just
will.
does. So tell us a little bit about your story, and we'll shoot the shit afterwards.
All right. So, I mean, that little biography definitely glorifies the testimony. And when you're living it, it's a very different experience.
Yeah.
So, I would say my journey started probably around, I would say probably 14, 15 is when I first started drinking. And I remember the reason why this matters down the road is I didn't think about it at the time, but the first time I drank, I remember it being I was a freshman in high school. We had been with some upperclassmen. I was with my girlfriends. I'm gay, so girlfriends, friends that are girls. Don't worry. And for whatever reason, I was like the only person that got obliterated drunk to the point where like I had to be taken to the hospital. It was a bit dramatic. It was dramatic. And of course, when you're an underclassman at that time and something like that happens, it spreads.
Sure.
So now I became like the drunk, and you kind of get labeled before you've even started your high school experience. So that was year one. You have 4.
What part of the country is that? Just one.
So Massachusetts. So
Okay.
New England.
He's an
So
asshole.
yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. I know
Carry on.
usually I scare men away because of that. But anyway, so that had happened. And I remember moving forward through high school became like, that almost became the label. So I didn't fight it, right? Like it became kind of like oh, well, you like to have fun. You like to party. Like, so I was like, all right, let me just literally lean into this. Like, there's no reason to fight this. It's already kind of been established from that one experience. So I really just dove into it, and it became like, I mean, as years went on, when I was in my junior and senior year and I could drive to school, like we'd drive to my friend's house, grab his parents' vodka, do shots as quick as we could. And then we're like, okay, it takes 20 minutes, which I wish that I cared this much about my education at the time. But I'm like, it takes 20 minutes for the alcohol to hit your system so we can get there quick. So you throw it all back and then drive back to school, and you'd be sitting in class and it would hit you like a truck. And like everyone in class knew that we were wasted, but it just became like kind of part of the process. And I remember as those years went on, every time I would go to an event or a house party, whatever it may be, the drunkest I would get would be the beginning of the party or the pregame leading into it. And I never thought about that until years down the road, but it started being a trend where I was already wasted before I went in the room.
Right.
As time went on, I got my first DUI, well, OUI now, at 18. It was a week after I graduated high school. So first DUI, kind of written off as a joke at that point. My friends, we didn't really, no one took it that seriously. It was kind of like, it happens to everyone type thing, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So then fast forward, continue to drink. I joined CrossFit. That was at the time that fitness started becoming a passion of mine when I was about 19 years old. And things just started kind of deteriorating. My body wasn't bouncing back. I was drinking heavy. I was eating like crap. My caffeine was ridiculous. So like body was in a very bad place. And then I started drinking more because it was in a bad place to numb yourself. Kind of becomes like this endless loop where you just kind of keep going in this cycle.
I drink because I'm unhappy. I'm unhappy because I drink. That's
right. You just get caught up. And when I was 22 is when the second OUI happened. And that was the moment that things were forced.
Can I jump in real quick? Mm-hmm. What's an OUI?
Operating under the influence.
Okay.
So it used to be driving under the influence. I mean, people still say DUI, but I think the legal term changed to operating because now it
covers
marijuana.
Well,
covers marijuana also.
Covers drugs too.
And also it covers any vehicle, I believe, other than just a passenger vehicle.
Oh, okay.
So any substance you can be
right. What I believe, but again, if there's a lawyer around, there's a lawyer, please don't go off on me. But so the second one is really where things change because at that point the consequences in Massachusetts are significantly rougher. So I had a 4-year loss of license. I had the interlock device for 3 years. I had it was brutal. And the problem was the cars I drove up to this point were all junkers. So they really weren't built to have an interlock in them in a way. So, I mean, I have my journals from these years. It was horrible. Every week, the car seemed to just shut down. And the problem is like, it would leave me. I was literally doing charity work at a local organization and I got left in the parking lot. Like it was the most random places.
Couldn't get worse.
And then you'd have to tow, right? So you have to tow and then they say you can get the money back, but then they never seem to get to that invoice. So it was just so much money and time and hassle and frustration.
So 97 Accords weren't built for that.
No. Nope. I had a Lumina and then
I remember those.
The old Chevy Lumina.
Yeah.
Right. A Lumina. And then what was the other? Oh my gosh. It was another.
A Ford Taurus.
Didn't have a Taurus. I almost got a Taurus. I had a 95 and a 2000 even. And those were the two that I was working with during those years. So basically through that second OUI, I ended up really being forced to like figure it out. And I had to go to a 2-week inpatient program for court.
Okay.
Yeah. And they wanted you to pay $2,000. Well, that wasn't going to happen.
Not happening.
So I found a way around that and I got it covered. But anyways, so we went and I remember going in saying that I was going to do, now I didn't even know about like harm reduction at that point. I had no idea about it, but I just kept saying like I was going to give myself cutoffs. That's why I kept kind of using other terminology, not knowing that there was a harm reduction movement going on behind the scenes. So that was my intent. But when I got in there were so many people that kind of look at you like you're a little crazy, where they're like, all right, this is your second OUI. You're really going to try to just continue to drink and think that you can just like weave it into your life in a normal way. And I was like, yeah, like I think it should be fine. And then, and then time went on and like the speakers came in and it was the most emotional whiplash I've experienced in my life in that 2-week period. I mean, to the point where there were people that were like, we were all on the last leg. In my journal entries, like there was some dark things that were getting written in there. And I remember we called him like this preacher man because I wasn't in my faith at that time. I believed I'm a Christian. So I believed in the Christian God, but I didn't really do any work on it. I didn't go into details.
Active spirituality.
A lot of people.
Right. No church, no
maybe
even
Christmas
discussion.
or Easter. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I was like, all right, like he kept preaching. He's like, put the time in. I'm like, I don't know. Like, right. I was like, So then one night I was it was extremely emotional. And the journal entry was basically me explaining that, like, when I leave here, I'm done.
Gotcha. Yep.
You know, I'm done. So
Yep.
I had accepted it. Like, when I finished writing it, I was like, all right, like, you just got to get through this, and then we're
Lights
moving on. We're moving on. So I remember just breaking down what I'm writing it and just kind of coming to that acceptance. And I remember getting on my knees and just like leaning on the bed, and I was like, God, like, if there is any time for you to show up in my life, like, this would be like, this is the moment, because after this, I'm done. And I remember I had many other experiences asleep and so on, but this was the first wide awake experience that was so blatantly obvious that I could never write it off. And I'm kneeling there, and I felt like this huge wave of like comforting but heavy energy, and heavy to the point where my physical body was so stuck on the bed that I couldn't twist, I couldn't move. I was literally like as if it was a weighted blanket that was like 500 pounds. I could not move, but it was comforting. It wasn't scary, but it was the heaviest, like, reaffirming energy I've ever experienced in my life. And I remember kneeling there, and I knew immediately spiritually, like, it was God or someone God had sent, but it was something good. And I remember just kneeling there and being like feeling like light, kind of like you just feel so much better.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being like, okay, God, like, I remember specifically saying,
I got
God,
you.
thank you. I understand what point you're trying to make, but like, I want to go to bed. And I remember like trying to get into the bed, and finally, like, it was still so heavy, but it let off just enough where I literally had to army crawl like off the floor into the bed and then lay there. And I remember just looking at the wall, like waiting to see something, because the energy was so strong. I'm like, how can that?
Were they private rooms? Did you have a roommate?
No, so we were supposed to, but I actually ended up getting most of us had our own. Some people got bunked together, but I ended up having my own.
So you're waiting to see something like visual?
Yes, because it was that powerful. Like, in my mind, I couldn't imagine that I could feel something that strong, wide awake, and there somehow not be something standing there.
Yeah.
And I saw nothing, and I never saw anything. And then the next morning, we were leaving our rooms to go to the showers, and the preacher man had come by me, and I go, hey, I just got to tell you something. And then I told him, and he was like, you don't understand how lucky you are. We all want an experience like that, and you got it. And he was happy for me, obviously slightly envious, but like at the end of the day, happy. And I remember leaving that impatient, and that was kind of the moment. I think I drank 2 times after that, because I had 2 vacations booked after the inpatient. But then by the second one, I had gone to Miami, and I spent probably $600 on alcohol. But what was so weird about that time was I never got blackout. I never got absurdly drunk. It was almost like my body and my soul had accepted we're done with this.
Yeah.
Wow.
But yet it was like autopilot. And I remember the last night I was with one of my girlfriends, and I was like, this just doesn't feel right anymore. I'm like, this just doesn't feel like my body and my soul is not connected.
It seems like you were supposed to have that experience to drink like a normal person and just realize, nope, I'm done. It's reaffirming, by trial by error, almost.
Right. And I look back, and
that's a real spiritual awakening.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what we call spiritual awakening is what you had, right?
Right. Because it's almost like it's almost like the energy towards drinking and partying got literally pulled. It almost like it got sucked out. And at the time when that experience happened, I wasn't aware of that. I was aware that I felt better, but I think that somehow in that experience, the drive and the energy of that life was removed. And it was by far the craziest thing, because there was no explanation as to why there would be such a disinterest in that short of a time period after the stay, because nothing else had happened, So
a lot of people will drink and they're off to the races.
Right.
You're a rare story because you had this experience. You know what I mean? It's like, wait a second, I don't do this anymore.
Yeah, and that's where it transcends, because you don't hear many stories like that, right? Like, I mean,
that's a good word. I mean, that's a good way to describe it, right?
Yeah, like it did. Like, it literally felt like, and it was so weird because even my friends, I mean, I was obviously the partier between our group, the one that went out that had the most fun. And when I stopped drinking, they were like, what happened? Like, even they were just shocked, because it was such a it was almost like overnight. To them, it felt overnight, where it was like I just flipped off a switch. I was like, no, I'm good, and I can never explain it, but it was just such a. That's why like spirit. That's why I say like God saved my life, and more times than just that. But that was one of the most blatant that it was like. And there's been times since being in recovery, there was 2 times specifically I've been given alcohol, not knowing that there was
Oh,
alcohol, and I literally drank it, and I literally was like, "No, I'm good."
yep.
And I was able to put it to the side and just not. It more so like tried to make me feel guilty, like more mentally. I tried to make myself feel
Yeah.
bad, even though it wasn't a conscious choice.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like, all right, let's go back. So it's a very weird thing.
Hey, America, are you picking up on what Tyler's saying? America, God helps gay people too. Who would have
For,
thought it?
for God's sakes, Mike, Jesus, this is why we can't have nice
He
Right.
things.
does.
Right.
He helps God. God helps gays. Wow.
Right.
That's
I know
something. So
he doesn't
you
hate
broke
us as
through
much
like
as people think.
four stigmas of
Right.
what coming off of alcohol is supposed to be for a gay man. You
Right.
just went through all 4. You transcended everything. So
Right.
it is a unique story. That's it's pretty incredible. So you had started. Now, what year are we at where you had this?
Yeah,
Is
I
it
was
like
gonna ask, how old were you when this was all going down?
So the
22,
DUI was
23,
22. The case ended when I was 23.
Okay.
So this was now I think I had to do the inpatient a year from the court date, or when the charges were basically when I was charged with the crime. So a year from that point. So this had to have been 2020. This had to have been, I'm 28 now, 22, 23, 24, 4 years ago. So it was the pandemic was not happening yet. So this was probably 2018, 2019, because we
Okay.
didn't have any restrictions going into the inpatient because the pandemic
Gotcha.
had not occurred.
Right.
Now, did
So
you feel anything that? So you're saying you're newly sober during the pandemic when the only thing that was open was liquor stores. You would think it's the toughest time to try and be
right.
sober. Um, how did you fight that? Did God help you with that too? What the
Right.
heck?
I honestly I definitely I do, right? And I really do think that I wish, well, no, I don't. Let me put it this way. I wish that I could explain it in a different way that maybe that can land.
I get what you're
But
saying.
it's
Yeah.
so,
I got it.
that experience, I swear, completely changed
Seems
how
like
my functioning worked in
seems like you
regard.
can't put it into words. Like it was that.
It
Still
really
can't.
was. It's almost like so for example, right? When people go and maybe they have an injury, right? And they get baptized, or maybe it's a disease, and then they come out of it and literally science cannot explain, but their body has healed itself. And it's kind of like that miracle. It's a miracle. It's a form
They're
of a
walking
miracle.
again, right? Yeah.
Right. And I think that honestly is something that happened then in that moment, or maybe over time.
What I believe personally is God does miracles, right? But he doesn't. It's not like back in the Old Testament where he would show up and there's an angel
Yes.
or whatever. I think he does them now silently, right? Or what you experienced was more than that. I believe there's experiences like that for certain people at certain times in their life. But I
Right.
think he does miracles on a daily basis that we can't see, because if we could see him, there'd be no reason for faith. And faith,
Exactly. Yep.
so
And what I like about Tyler is he made it through in a special way, obviously, a very special way. But why is he here tonight? To tell me and you? No. To tell America he's sharing,
Right.
he's making it better. He's giving back. This is his career. He does a podcast just like this
we
on
cover.
addiction and recovery. He has a very big podcast with a very big nonprofit called Faces and Voices of Recovery. They are the biggest in the world for diverting funds and diverting education to us, and supplying and supplementing schools to universities, continuing education, every facet of rebuilding your life and every facet to get sober is part of Faces and Voices of Recovery. So he's giving back in a kind of not a normal way. I mean, Tim and I are also giving back, but what Tyler's doing, it's no joke. It's big time. It's like he is on. I don't know, Johnny. No, I
You're
I
blowing
won't
it.
say that. He is on.
You're blowing it.
He is on
How many
a
times did you say
top rated
on?
show. He's on a top rated show, and me and Tim are on Tubi. How's that?
Not fair. How many
No.
times you gonna Tyler? You hear his New Jersey accent when he says "on"?
See, but you know what's funny? Because I'm in New England.
Yeah,
I don't
true.
have the
Yeah.
accent, but I'm so used to it because I mean, we got Boston, we got Providence, Rhode Island, we got New York, which is really
Sure.
2 hours away, right? New
Yep.
York, Manhattan's at 2.5 hours from
Right.
me. So
I'm
And
from
I'm
New
2 hours,
Jersey.
right?
I'm from Jersey, so like I'm down here. They're like, you have such an accent. I'm like, you have the accent. I have an accent. Let's turn the lights on.
Southern
I'm
people
more
see New
right
Englanders.
across from the Philly, right? Right. I'm
Right.
right by Philadelphia.
Yeah. So Tyler,
Right.
go. If we cut you off, I'm sorry.
No.
Tell
But
us
yeah.
about Faces and Voices and how you giving back. Tell us about that platform. Tell us about your podcast.
Thank you. So our podcast, it's Our Recovery Stories Have Power. It's on our website, faceandvoicesofrecovery.org. You go to media. Let me just double check before I give the wrong directions. Media and then podcast. So
What's it called? Our
Recovery Stories Have Power. So it's very similar. So we started, Oliver, a little shout out to you. Started really going for testimonies, right? I mean, that's the whole premise that Our Recovery Stories Have Power, because every recovery story has power in its own right.
Mhm.
So we started, I mean, there was a guest that I had interviewed. Their name was Yo Sis, and they were a spoken word artist.
Mhm.
So like they use spoken word as their kind of outlet and their way of verbalizing
Artist.
their testimony.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like poetry, but in a different form. Like you really speak it into kind of existence. So there was a really cool guest. Interviewed Ruby Takushi from the Recovery Cafe model and how that started. So I mean, and then we've built from there. We've gotten, I mean, lawmakers, that have been guests on the show. So it's been.
I did hear you interview Patrick Kennedy.
Yes. So I didn't interview. I think Oliver did. Oliver, sorry if I'm wrong.
Was that Oliver with Patrick Kennedy?
I think Oliver
may have been.
did.
May have been.
Okay. Who's Patrick Kennedy?
One of the Kennedys. He was one of the Skakels, the Kennedys. I'm saying Ethel Kennedy, Bobby's wife's sister's kids.
Gotcha.
If that makes sense.
Copy that. 10-4.
Right. Yeah, Oliver takes more of the it may have been Keegan too, but Oliver takes more of the I actually found it. Former congressman. Yep, it was Oliver. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he takes more of the very professional interviews.
You talk to Talking Trash. We got it.
Right. You go talk to Talking Trash, and I'm going to have Governor or somebody. Right. Okay, great.
Right. Oliver, yeah, he has to do some editing on mine. Not as much on his, I don't believe. Not as much on his side. But that's what gives it a balance, right? Like we have that kind of ability to do that where like certain guests just fit with certain people. I was just in Chicago for the National Rally for Recovery. We usually throw one national rally every year. Last year was in Oklahoma, which I was at that one also. And then a few weeks ago was Chicago. And just see that many people come together from different organizations. I mean, we had harm reduction organizations. We had abstinent-based organizations. So you have multiple pathways of recovery, and then you have different assistance programs. So we had housing assistance, you had food assistance, you had like all these different programs to help people kind of get back on their feet during their recovery. And when you get to see it in person and you're around it, and there was a multitude of speakers that brought hard data and hard facts that you would not know about what's going on in the recovery community if they didn't bring it to you, because the major news outlets aren't telling you. All they're telling you is maybe how many overdoses there were, but that's all.
Right.
They're not telling you anything else. So like we got to really get the good information where we got to see, okay, in all of these neighborhoods, overdoses are on a significant decline, right? So it's like we're seeing the work being put in and the change that's happening that you're never going to get from major news outlets, because they don't care enough to do that deep of research. So it was just amazing. And for the podcast, we did street interviews. So I had a little mic. It was the cutest little thing. It was a baby mic. It was so cute. And I clipped it to my pants and I walked around and like just handed back and forth. And we had a camera. And it was really just exciting to get to meet some people that the things that they do,
Well,
Yeah, sure.
I was going to ask you that as you do pop-ups around the country and the meetings around the country and probably speak at them and intertwine your thoughts with them, is there different parts of the country that anything has stuck out, like, hey, in New Mexico they're doing this for drinking, hey, they're doing this? Is there anything that comes to mind that a different part of the world or country does things that work that nobody does?
Right. Yeah, I mean, probably the most notable that I've noticed over time is the harm reduction movement, right? Because you have to think, I mean, 12-step was kind of the go-to for recovery for decades and decades, which is abstinence-based. So when you had harm reduction, there was a lot of internal, I don't want to say warfare. That's making it seem very
but no, it is.
But
it's absolutely warfare.
Right. It's, I mean, in these battles that were happening, because you had a very, very strong base of abstinence. So people didn't want it to get muddied or create kind of this gray area. They wanted to keep it either you're abstinent or you're using. There's no middle ground. So
one or the other.
Right. So harm reduction kind of has been slowly building its entity.
Well, I think it's
Have you
super
ever heard
important.
of MARA?
I have not.
Medication Assisted Recovery Anonymous.
Oh, okay. Yes.
You have heard of it?
Yes. So I believe
more and more, I'm hearing a lot more about it.
Well, and this is the thing too, though. When you're dealing with harm reduction, it can be touchy, right? Like even just talking about. One of the things I worked on recently is I can't go into kind of contracts and stuff like that, but one of the duties I did recently was gather all of the harm reduction vending machine specific resources that were across the country, and then created a map based off of like what states were offering them and which weren't. When you really get to see that diagram, you can blatantly tell there seems to be a very close correlation to the states that are still very defensive for abstinence and the ones that are more open for the idea of harm reduction.
Right.
And you can see it on the map.
Right.
It's not, and it's really interesting once I kind of gather that information to see that visually.
When you say vending machine, you mean like you can just go pick up a sub? You mean
never heard of it?
So like Narcan. So you can get Narcan,
Narcan,
clean needles for like a syringe exchange. Band-aids, also toiletries and stuff like that. So most of the harm reduction vending machines are Narcan. That's mostly, but there are some that have more options within the vending machine. But yeah, you literally can go up and get whatever you need out of that vending machine. And it's most of them are strategically placed. Most of them are strategically placed in areas that obviously have a higher area of use, maybe a higher mortality rate. So it's trying to help people that maybe aren't ready to go into full abstinence, and they can at least get into harm reduction.
They're free vending machines, I'm assuming?
So most, I don't want to say all, but most were that I did research on, because I don't want to say they are and then someone go.
This has to be the Northeast. I mean, it's the only thing that would make sense to me. But
there was actually a lot more states.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, it was really circled. It was almost, I don't want to.
Don't.
It was a circle. Think of it. It was just like a nice circle to see.
Good.
That's crazy. We're all for harm reduction. It's gotten to a point where everybody's dropping like flies. You think you're taking a Perk 30 and it's fentanyl. Like back in my day, if you're taking a Perk 30, it's a Perk 30. It came from a pharmacy, So at this point, people are dropping. And what do we do to fix this? Well, we can't fix it. but we can fix how we approach it. So whatever, Suboxone, mental health, needle exchange, whatever that you're talking about is harm reduction, and the point of our show is harm reduction. Really, I mean, we get the message out there that there's no reason for you to die anymore. There's the Narcan is out there. It's available. You can get it anywhere. Like, people are still dropping, but like, are they not using bad needles now? Are they getting to the point where they can find recovery? Because before
Right.
they don't have an option. So harm
Right.
reduction does play a role in recovery because it gives people that buffer where they
Well,
can
they're not sharing
actually
needles, right?
that too,
Right.
and they're not getting heart
Ascites on the
disease or
arm,
what.
right?
Yeah, but like
Right.
certain things like that keep them from recovering. Everybody's a good person for the most part, and
Right.
they're stuck in addiction, so they're not going to fix it overnight. And if they get congestive heart disease or whatever that is, or they OD, like they never have the option or the chance to get to recovery. So that's why
Right.
harm reduction is so
How
important.
how I always thought of it as a nurse and part of the medical community, but again, having my common sense was they're not in it for the goodies that you get at harm reduction. When they're done doing it, they're going to be done with the harm reduction goodies also.
Hmm.
That's not keeping them in it. A few free needles, and no, no, no.
Right.
It's not like that. They are not in addiction because of the freebies. Sorry, that
Right.
sounds nice, but it's not true.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that
Right.
I've noticed that in my nursing career that nobody has ever said, "Well, I really want to be here. I'm really glad I'm here. Keep me away from them fucking vending machines that were giving out free needles." That's never happened.
So did
Right.
what
So
I say not make sense then? Did I say
yeah,
something?
yeah, this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I can mute you.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I think that's where, like, personally, there's there's a personal view, and then what seems to work. For example, like, I know that when I first knew about harm reduction, right, I had my own I had my own stigma about the idea of harm reduction and what it was doing. And I remember it took until me working here at this organization and then getting the data, getting the research, seeing the numbers to realize that, like, it's actually benefiting a lot of people that wouldn't still be with us today.
Right.
Then you could argue, I mean, the next step is sustained harm reduction worth it versus taking that transition from harm reduction into abstinence versus staying, because there are some people that feel that harm reduction indefinitely is the way to go.
I
That's
also
a
feel that
different.
way. I feel both ways,
Yeah.
basically.
Right, and that's where it's like that's where the debate it's almost like there's levels, right? The first level is, do you even think that harm reduction has validity? All
Hmm.
right, and then you can move up. Well, how long? Like, what duration of time do we think harm reduction can be beneficial, or does this become kind of like a comfort zone? And
Hmm.
then, so
Sure.
it really, there's so many levels to it, but I could say that even past any personal view, the base level of harm reduction shows promising
Let
data.
me ask you. I think from you that 3 out of 4 people can recover. Like, what am I looking at here?
Eventually do.
Weird, because a couple of years ago, like I'd be in rehab and they'd be like, "I hate to break it to you, but only 1 out of 10 of you are gonna live." Like,
Yes,
what a
right,
what a
right.
it's ridiculous. So, like, did that change, or is that like just never was true?
I mean, the number's been increasing. The recovery number has been increasing, but that's because of all the resources that now are
Yeah,
available
right.
and the idea of speaking about it. The
Yeah.
stigma is starting to be broken about it, which now is saving people, because if you are able to tell people that you're struggling with something versus
Hmm.
being nervous you're going to get shunned from your community and friends,
Yeah.
you're more apt to get that
Yeah.
help.
I've seen the recovery landscape change, like dual diagnosis,
Yes.
Right.
mental health, like all that stuff. It makes it like rehabs are everywhere now. In 2004, there's no rehab. I had to go to Christian work camp. So like
Right.
it was, yeah, we won't get into that. So, but yeah, it has changed dramatically. Even in the past 10 years, 5 years, like totally
Do you
different.
think, Tim, Tyler, do you guys think that when New Year's Eve, when Uber gives everybody free rides, as we're talking about harm reduction, if Uber gives everybody free rides on New Year's Eve or St. Patty's Day, way home, in a way that's harm reduction, but do you think that increases drinking on New Year's Eve? I don't. People are going to drink anyway.
No.
Yeah, so it
No.
is what
So
it is. I mean, there's 10
yeah,
different ways to look at it.
Yep.
You know, people are just dying. There's 107,000 overdose deaths last year. So like that was doubled from like 2018, like something like that. It is spiking. So like nobody knows what to do. I like Suboxone. I think that's a great way to get off your drug, but also not get high. It takes getting high off the table, and you can get back into the flow of life. I think that's a positive thing. There's 1,000 people that'll tell you it's not. So like it
Right.
depends on your. There's no right answer. There isn't. It's different for every person, every situation, and we see it all the time. You know.
Right. Right. And I think that's where harm reduction, you have almost like you almost can have these internal conflicts about
Mhm.
what qualifies as harm reduction and what
Right.
shouldn't. Because there is that argument, Suboxone, is it considered harm reduction? And if so, should it be? There's so many
Yeah.
like inner workings with these dialogues. And one thing I would say, I do wish that there was more acceptance in certain recovery communities, because I
Yeah.
think that's a big problem. I think a big issue that you see, I mean, even state to state, right? Like, I mean, there's certain organizations that won't even talk to another organization because they don't agree with their pathway of recovery. So it's
Mhm.
like you just kind of have this, instead of just kind of having this mutual respect of saying, all right, our organization doesn't agree necessarily with that pathway of recovery. However, we can still collaborate, or we can still try to help each other out and
Right.
whatever. I would like to see more of that. And
Yeah.
I think that that's
Just in general, as a human being, like that's not like we just need to relax a little bit.
right.
A lot of people have opinions who weren't dying in Kensington with the needle hanging out of their arms. You know what I mean? They just have these opinions.
right.
Some people
Or has
do.
seen it or
So
smelled it like you have.
it's exactly. So like it's as long as we're doing what we're doing something decent, and it's important because like Tyler just said, the stigma, like, it's dangerous at this point. He didn't say that. I'm saying that. It's dangerous to label stuff because like I said, people are dropping and
Right.
it's getting out of control.
We just lost one off the clean time. I mean, it doesn't have to hit any closer to home than that tonight, does it?
Let's do clean time while we're hanging out with each other, huh? Michael,
All right.
you ready?
Stay around.
Yeah,
around,
don't go
Tyler.
anywhere. KW, 30 days. Can you not see Mike?
No,
Kelly McDermott. You can't see it?
no.
I'm not timing out. Why can't you see it?
Okay.
Oh,
I don't know.
I know. It's me. I
Going right over the name.
don't usually have a name at the bottom. So here we go. KW, right?
Yes.
Good God.
TW, 30 days. You got your tag. Congratulations, Key. I told you it was around the corner.
Attaboy.
And Hallie McDermott, 40 days. 40 days and nights. How about that? It's biblical. 42 days for Skylar S.
Easy.
Cutie. 67 days for John G. Brown.
JGB
69 days for Valencia K.
is my girl.
And don't forget Katerina D. Sounds almost Russian. 74 days.
I got
76 days for April R.
Russian.
And we know Monty Fonti, Monty Fonticello, 80 days. And one of my personal favorites, Michaela Booker, 82 days.
Atta girl.
84 days for Frank Kenny and his mirrored sunglasses.
Mm-hmm.
89 days for Rico Denya. 90s
more.
around the corner. Congratulations,
more.
Rico.
Here we go.
Hey, Ronnie J, 90
J.
days today.
And he wrote us an email. My boys are
Oh.
talking trash. Love you guys. 90 days for me today. I can't remember the last time I had 90 days clean off of crack cocaine. I still have a beer here and there, but no rock.
Oh, jeez.
No more, whatever. I watched your show when I went to AA and stopped the hard, and you guys keep it real.
Crack is whack, Ronnie. 96 days, Alex Petrine. Samantha Hess, one of my 102. Look at that. She's in the century mark, baby.
100 days on Monday. With the support of my family, NA, and of course, Talking Trash, I have a new outlook today. I was hesitant to go on that, but Tim answered all my questions that I never asked. Thank you guys, Mike, Tim, Tommy, and Garrett, for all you do. Thanks, Samantha.
Anthony Seals, 103 days. These are people in real time over the century mark.
Yeah,
107 days for Destiny J. Her destiny was to make it over 100. And Daniel G, 113 days. He could use a beard trim.
Yeah.
AJ Hamilton, my man, 118 days. It's real time, AJ.
Hey,
119 for Andreas Estrada, a personal friend of the show, by the way.
friend.
And our first real fan, David D. I love this guy. 132 days. Proud of him. 137 days, Christina A.
Christian.
Yeah. 138 days, Tara Dixon. Them guys should still get together. 140 days, Alex M.
Nikki
140 days from my original fan, Nikki Stars. Kept you out of rehab. 143 days. Crikeys. They're crocodiles.
Look at that.
169 days. Tony J. Still shirtless. 171 days. Maria Unchiglad. 177 days. Jen Magner.
Hey, girl.
And
Look at
don't
this.
forget Jared Black and Blue.
Jared
188
Black and
Good for
Blue.
him, man.
He wrote us, thanks for everything. Tim, thanks for keeping in touch and being a part of my support system. I didn't realize I was 6 months. Thanks for keeping track. LOL. Not my job, Jared.
That's awesome. Andy Jean,
Attaboy.
213.
Kissy.
Kissy Faye, 214 days, Jamie Michelle. That's real time.
Deshaun?
Deshaun Booker, 247 days. Could you imagine? It's a long time.
Yeah, I can imagine.
263 days for Ricky McVicker. His name sounds like a race car driver.
Mhm.
289 days for Cassie Spencer.
Welcome.
How you doing, Cassie, my little lassie?
Ah,
321 days, Je ne sais pas, Katie M.
girl.
Patricia C., also known as Aunt Patty, 321 days. Look at her go.
Look at it.
All
Look what I
right, we
did.
got a new picture.
I did it.
322 days. No more hoodie. 380 days for Will Douglas. We all know Will.
Wait, well.
And we know you. 451 with an asterisk days. I don't know what
All right.
that's about. We'll talk about it later.
Nope. We're going to talk about it right now. I was miscounting my clean date. So I was 116 days further than what I was saying was. So 451.
All right. Good job anyway.
Thank
2
you.
years for Daniel Gelman. 2 years and change for Amelia Quarto.
Nah, no more change.
2 years for Stella Montez.
That girl.
And April Pritchard, 3 years. Proud of you.
Good job,
Look good
April.
in black.
Look at this.
And
Ready?
my man,
Look at this. Explosion.
4 years. Jeffrey,
Attaboy,
congratulations.
Jeffrey S. Proud of you
Take
guys.
the night off. No repoing tonight. 4
Kaisa.
years for Kaisa.
Yeah, you
Kaisa
did it.
B.
You did
Friend
it.
of the show.
Oh, what is this all
Yeah.
about? I think it might be
Kaisa
wrong.
B. I think he was in our green room earlier.
Almost
6 years.
5.
Sorry.
Close.
Lisa Welke, 6 years.
Came from
Simon, we love Simon, 6 years. Inspirational Simon Cross, our personal friend also. 8 years. Tina C.
Hi, Dina.
And Matt Gillespie. Good friend. Check out his addiction support group. Awesome. 12 years. 13 years for Neil K.
Stay away from Luna. Hey, Mike. Who's the most important person in any room?
The coffee, no, the newcomers.
Yeah.
Jeremy Moore. 20 days for Bridget Shades. 23 days for Jason D. They're the ones we need to really worry about, Luna. Hey,
All right,
98.
If you want to
Okay.
be on Clean Time, email me at tim@trash-podcast.com. Check out our social medias, tons of original content. Get yourself some mother in Narcan. It could save a life.
And 988.
Did I take that out?
Yeah, don't kill yourself hotline.
All right, look at all the graphics I did.
I like it.
Cool, right?
Yeah, it's really cool.
Thank you. I did a lot of work on that.
988. That thing was kind of like squirting.
All right.
Did you see it?
Yeah, it was. Let's move on. It's got prostate cancer. So
988
988.
is your. The cops aren't coming. Call it. Use it.
For the love of
If you got
God.
questions, they'll steer you the right way. It's like our podcast, 24 hours a day,
All
but
right.
with real people.
I was
They won't steer you wrong.
I was in no, they won't. I was in AA the other day, and for the second week in a row, I read something that resonated with me. The book was written in 1939. So I just want to touch on it real quick. When I was 8 years old, life suddenly became very difficult. Feelings began to emerge that I did not understand. Depression crept into my life as I started to feel alone, even in a crowded room. I hear you. In fact, life didn't make much sense to me at all. It's hard to say what sparked all of this, to pinpoint one fact or event that changed everything forever. The fact of the matter was, I was miserable from early on in my life. It was all very confusing. I remember isolating on the playground, watching all the other children laughing and playing and smiling, not feeling like I could relate at all. I felt different. I didn't feel as if I was one of them. Somehow I thought I didn't fit in. So anyway, just to sum it up, it was, from early on. I mean, if you have a disease, if you are an addict, substance use disorder, if you have depression, anxiety, bipolar, whatever, if you have it, you may have it early on in life. And I get it. I mean, I was like that too. And I never fit in. I never felt comfortable. So to all our listeners out there that don't know where they fit in, if you're an addict, you fit in with any other addict. So I just encourage anybody to go AA meetings or CA meetings or Christian Mingle or no, what is that? What is that one? Celebrate Recovery, whatever.
Farmers only. Farmers only.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Yeah, so I just don't know where to go from that. But so I just can encourage anybody to find a support group. You don't have to do the 12 steps. You don't have to do much anything. Just go and find other people to talk to. I guarantee
Find your people.
You'll find somebody to go through it with you. Tyler. Keep going.
Tyler, it was a pleasure. Amazing. I mean, raise your hand if you're a gay, spiritually awoke, exercise fanatic. There's one.
Yeah, there's one.
Exercise. I don't know. I'm getting chunky now. I know we talked about it earlier. So I don't know if I can say exercise fanatic. Thanks for jiggling.
Getting there. Me too. I mean, take a look at the Timster. I'm like pregnant.
Oh my gosh. See, the trick is just suck in.
I do. All the time.
Look at it. No one would know.
And it hurts like hell. I broke a rib.
It was truly an honor and a pleasure to meet you.
It really was.
You've been through a lot. You're definitely not the norm, and I appreciate that. Faces and Voices of Recovery. Check out their website, and most importantly, check out their podcast. You'll see a picture of Tyler there with long hair. Actually, you may.
Yeah, it won't be that one. It won't.
No.
It won't be the one that we got posted. I wish it was, but no.
Right.
We got the professional one of me.
Well, speaking of professional, we got our own coffee cups.
Oh yeah, we got our own coffee cups.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
anyway,
wow.
Tyler, we got to have you on because I'm sure there's more to your story, but really inspirational. People can relate to this, and it was a privilege for our podcast to have you on it because you're the real deal. So, Mike says I pump everybody's tires too much. So
you
I
do.
Guess I just want them to feel happy and a part of. So
so sweet.
Let's just readjust for today real quick, and we will hit the hey. Let me see here. Just for to dizzle my nizzle. The truth. Many of us thought we could recognize the truth. We believed the truth was one thing, certain and unchanging. We could grasp easily without question. I can't read. The real truth, however, is that we often couldn't see the truth if it hit us square in the face. Our disease colored everything in our lives. especially the perception of truth. In fact, what we knew about the truth nearly killed us. Facts. Before we could begin to recognize the truth, we had to switch our allegiance from our addiction to a higher power, the source of all that is good and true. The truth has changed as our faith in our higher power has grown. As we work the steps, our entire lives have begun to change through the healing power of principles of recovery. In order to open the door for that change, we have had to surrender our attachment to an unchanging and rigid truth. The truth becomes purer and simpler each time we encounter it. And just as the steps work in our lives every day, if we allow them, our understanding of the truth may change each day as we grow. Just for today, I will open my eyes and heart to changes brought about by the steps. With an open mind, I can understand the truth in my life. You don't have to do the steps. I mean, you can find truth otherwise, but if you need the steps, by all means, I'm a proponent of AA. That's about it for...
We'll always tell you the truth. Won't we?
always. Facts on
Sometimes
facts.
to a default, but it is what it is.
So, Tyler Brandon, Faces and Voices of Recovery.org. I'll talk to you in a little bit, Tyler. Thank you for being with us. We appreciate your time. You're the
Thank
best.
you both. It was great.
Thank you.
Tyler, thank you. It was an honor and a pleasure.
No, it was
for
an honor
sure.
for me.
And
you know,
thanks for what you do.
Pictures used. No problem. Anytime a good picture is used to me, I'm there.
Yeah. All right. All
Well,
right.
Bye.
Thanks for all you.
No time.